Hey Goopy, you're now listening to Buddy Time. Feeling courageous? On today's episode, we'll be equipping you with the mental resilience needed to tackle life's changes. Head on with our guest speaker, Michelle Lee. Ready to turbocharge your day with us? Let's begin our voyage! Woohoo! Hello, good day. Welcome back, all listeners. It's been, another 2 weeks since our last episode. I hope you guys enjoy our last episode too. If not, please feel free to check them out as well. Really fun and meaningful conversation back with our friends. But today we have another new friend with us. And again, I just have to say, with Miguri Space, this platform that we created for the whole community, I also got a lot of benefit out of this because throughout this whole journey, through our own events and activities, me and Sony, we also get to meet a lot of new friends. And some of these friends are really amazing. And that's why we get to really connect it to another level. And here, let's welcome our new friend, Michelle.
Hello, hi guys. My name is Michelle. I'm from China and I'm 25 years old. Okay, so a little introduction of myself. I live in Manila for like the past 5 years. I used to be an English interpreter and operation manager in a real estate company. And last October, I quit my job because, something personal. And I decided to move to Bangkok this year. Actually, I've been through a lot of struggling, really moving to Bangkok or not.
Just getting back to what Sin sort of like introduced us to and how we've met you, Michelle, is actually really, really special because I remember that day, it was our movie club day. And like, we already started the movie already. And then I think you came a little bit late. And then I was like, oh my God. And then you came in. But then there's this energy about you that you came in with like such grace. And then I was just like, hi, nice to meet you. Like, please sit here. And like, it's so exciting. And then like at the end of the movie, we got to chat a little bit. And then you did ask about the movie that we've chosen and like all that. And I felt an instant connection to you. And then right after that, we got each other's Instagram. And then right after that, I saw that you went to Indonesia, right? And for
yoga training.
At first I thought you went for a vacation. And then I was like, wait, is Michelle coming back? Because like later on, I saw you in training for yoga. And I was like, that's so amazing. And it's so lovely for that. And I want to ask you sort of, and to understand what made you because you, in your introduction just now, you mentioned about you living in Manila for
the past 5 years.
5 years. What made you make that decision to move to Manila?
Lack of money. Back then. So I only went to college for like 1 year and I quit my college because my family cannot really support me to go to college. The college fee was slightly expensive back then. And then I was like, okay, why don't I just quit my school and then, go to work so that I could earn money. And then my first job, the very first job was interpreter as well in a Macau company, I think. Yeah. And the salary back then was only 2,000 RMB. It's like 20,000 Thai baht per month. It was really low, I want to earn more. So I searched online, English translator or interpreter abroad, and it shows Philippines. And then I checked a few and I select one, and the HR reached out to me, and then he's like, okay, I'll put you into an interview. And I was like, okay. I was very nervous back then because I really want to get the job, and the salary was okay to me back then. And I got the job. So my mom sent me to the airport and I went to Manila. It was so smooth. Like, I did not think too much. Like, my mom's like, oh, you need to be so careful.
I do believe that, things happen for a reason. And that's why when you say like, oh, it's so smooth, it must have meant for something. And the reason why you searched up and why Manila was the place and all these things, I really do feel like there must be a reason. And what university did you attend?
It's in Sanya. It's like a island, tropical island in China.
And what did you study?
Interior design. Like I used to draw.
Is that something that you're into?
Yeah, back then, yes. Not now. I draw sometimes, but not like, super passionate about it. Yeah, I draw it when I feel down sometimes.
To me, hearing that, because again, we all have this stereotype that some of the family, like Asian families mostly, are quite conservative in terms of, especially like a daughter having to travel alone. And for your case, you're not even traveling. You're literally moving to a new place all by yourself at the age of what, like 20? Yeah, and your family is okay with that, and they supported you. So to me, I would say not everyone have that kind of experience, right?
So, okay, I have a story. I did not tell you guys. So, I told Sony that my parents got divorced, right? So, I live with my mom. When I quit my college, I did not tell my father part. So, the part of my father family, they don't know anything. Yeah, I kept a secret because I don't want them to feel disappointed. But my mom, she's like, supportive, but also she's very concerned about my future. And she was the one that sent me to the airport. And then after I worked there for like 1 year in Manila, I told my father, like, Dad, I quit my college, and then I found a job in Manila. At first, he was like, you're insane. Like, he was like, oh, you're insane, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, but I still decide to work here because, I don't want to quit because I'm already here. I want to explore more. And then, he kind of showed his understanding. I was like, okay. And then, I stayed there for like 5 years.
I want to understand a little bit more on sort of how you feel in this position, because from my understanding and my belief, especially in Asia, having a degree is such an important aspect of like life. If you don't have a degree, you're pretty much like a dropout and you're a failure, right? Especially, and more so, I would say even more so in like our Chinese sort of like cultural background, and going into like the society, people knowing this, they would look down on you and all these things. How do you feel about this?
I feel part of it is true. Like, you definitely need certificate to a certain company, But I think, to me, education is very important. But it's different between educating and going to a school. It's different. Because if you go to school, you can just fuck around. But, not learning anything. But educating, you can educate yourself. So I think certificate to me is not very important to me.
I believe that as well, because my personal approach really is when people, they say they go to a certain university, and sometimes even if you have a degree, right? People in society, sometimes they compare themselves like, oh, I am this graduate. And then the other person's like, well, I'm a this graduate. And then they're like, oh my God, such a prestige school. And then they start comparing each other. But to me, good universities help you have access to better resources and better channels, but that doesn't mean that people who come from a different university that might not rank as high does not have like a better education in any way, because I really do believe that education is self-found.
True. That's very true. Like, you can just go to school and learn nothing. Yeah, and just waste the school fee.
In Chinese, there's this saying which is 行万里路不如 what is it?
读万里书不如行万里路.
Yeah, that.
What does it mean?
It's like, you explain. Should you explain?
No, you were an interpreter. I think you can explain it better.
Let me Google it.
So according to my shallow understanding of this is, we can read as many books as we can, but most of the lessons is learned through our journey. And that journey is not just studying alone. It can be traveling everywhere or just every day in life. Yeah, so education is definitely to me like a foundation. So the fact that we're all able to communicate now in English, and we also have our mother language, which is Chinese, and we're able to read and write and have a smart conversation with people around us. These are all from educations, but not just education through school, but it's also education from our parents, from people around us. So I would say, yeah, like learning definitely through, our everyday life. And that actually reflects how, a person's life changed. Because from your story, your life started to have a different chapter since like around age of 20, and then you move to Manila, and then you start a new chapter. For us too, we all have different chapters in life, and we are still learning through everyday lessons, right? For you, like, because I'm trying to understand back then when you're trying to, make a living for yourself, like you said, was that your only drive? Like, where did that courage come from? Because even today, like friends around me, some of them are still feeling really hesitate to step out of their comfort zone. So I'm also trying to understand, is it because they haven't really fully realized what their purpose is? Or is it just because their drive is not as strong yet?
So when I was in the university, I know that I definitely don't want to be there anymore. It was difficult. It was really difficult. I cried a lot. I struggled a lot. I always question myself, was this the thing that I really want? Was it the right thing? Because everybody's getting the certificate, right? If you do something else, it will make you, you look different. Like bad different. Bad different.
More like peer pressure.
Right? Yeah. Something like that. And I don't know, I'm just glad I made the decision when I was in university. But I'm not saying like going to the university is bad. I mean, I encourage you to go to university to get the certificate, but also learn something.
And comparing to, because I'm hearing like a comparison between education in, academic education in university, and then life lessons when we get into the reality, like started to work. For you, did you find what's the difference for you? Because your drive back then was you really want to make a change. You really want to be able to support yourself and even support your family, right? That's why that became your biggest drive to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I am assuming that's where your courage came from, which is a huge thing because courage is really hard to find, especially self-find courage. Doesn't happen all the time, but most of the time courage, in my opinion, the easy kind of courage usually are from people around us. Mm-hmm. So let's say in your case, there's probably you're leaving your mom, your family, and the surrounding that you were in make you want to do something different.
Actually, you don't find courage easily. It takes time. It takes time, really. It might take like 1 month, 3 months, or 1 year to get to a point that you really want to change. Like, okay, I need to stop waiting, and I need to make a change. It's not like I want to quit my school and the next day I quit my school. It's not that easy. You may find courage in listening to those hyping songs, like those songs that can encourage you, or you ask those peers that they also quit school. What do they do? How do they feel? And also you ask advice from elder people who's not from your family. Yeah, they will give you some advice. Yeah, and through that you can gradually find courage, I think.
It sounds a little bit similar to the saying of some people, they only realize certain things until they hit the rock bottom. So would you say that your experience was somewhat around this?
True. Like, I feel like I cannot stand the school anymore. That is the point that I quit. My teacher in school, how do you say it? How do you call it? The master? homeroom teacher. I don't know how they call homeroom teacher. Okay, let's call it homeroom teacher. He talked to me like very seriously. He was like, Michelle, what are you gonna do without the certificate? You are not gonna survive. Like he was like saying like, oh, you're gonna die if you don't have the certificate. It's so hard because China was so competitive. Yeah, I actually listened to one ear and out the other ear. I did not really want to listen to those negative things because I think it's not gonna help me to go any further listening to those things,
Because your first choice to look for a job, right, was interpreter.
Yes.
Like, what made you think that, okay, maybe interpreter is something that I can try?
Because I can speak English since I was little. I kept practicing. I went to the gate of the hotel to talk to the random foreign people with a random script like, how are you? How's your day? What's your name? Something like that. I think that is how I started learning English, and then I can speak English.
Wait, but was that a training you did for yourself, or was it like an assignment from your teacher or from your mom?
No, it was all I want to do.
Like, this is what distinguishes between like a hard worker and someone with talent. And I do feel like, Michelle, you have that talent. You're like, I do feel that. Like, genuinely, I feel like you just go about doing things. That's why you say that even with your decisions to move to Manila and work, you were like, it all came like so effortlessly. It was just the way it is, because with the way you are as well, and I do mean it, like when the first time I met you, my first impression of you, there's some sort of like aura about you that's very inviting, and you're always like very smiley, and you're very engaged with like us whenever we're having conversation.
I'm trying to be polite.
But there is something that it's just like, yeah, you just have that. And then this is not something that you particularly train. I would say it's just that's why to me, when I like some people, when they hear this, like the story that you just said about how like a teacher, a homeroom teacher speaking to you, and then you sort of like listen to one ear and passing it through the other ear. Like some people might see that as rude. Like that's rude, because we all see teachers we all respect our teachers, right, in our lives. But I do agree with you. If a teacher's method of teaching is you to like make you feel stressed and less than what you actually are for you to learn something, it really is a skill that you have to know that that's not something that I take within myself and take it out of myself. And like, okay, you say this, it's negative, it doesn't feel good, I don't want to keep this. Some people don't have that in them. Some people listen and they don't know, and they keep it within themselves, and it leads them down to a particular path that might not always be the brightest.
Always look outside the box. Don't always live in the box.
I'm curious, like, I think similar to what Sin has just brought up in her question, what made you decide to go abroad? Like, why don't you apply for a job that is also a translator or something within the country? Like, why did you, and how did you even feel safe as a woman? Like, even me as like a male individual, for me to consider to go somewhere alone and start a new life, that is so scary. Like, I am scared, and I don't feel like that decision would come lightly. But the fact that you just said it, like, it all came so naturally. My mom sent me to the airport. It's like you're going on vacation, like, And so I'm wondering, like, how did you process this whole situation? Especially when you said that we mentioned that these sort of decisions come from the lowest part of our lives. How did you come up with a life-changing decision in the lowest part of your life, when not everybody can think clearly, but for you it felt like there's something very clear about your decision?
It wasn't clear. No decision is clear. Of course, I thought about like if it was a scam, if it's like, if it's safe. Of course, I thought about that. But every time I feel like I make decision, I follow my intuition. That is very important, because if you want to do something and you don't feel right, just don't do it. I won't do it if I don't feel right. Well, I guess back then I feel right, and I feel safe about that. I wasn't hesitating. Yeah, I have the thoughts, but I wasn't hesitating. And I guess that was the right path.
Is there a particular practical thing that you could mention about your process that could help people who don't necessarily understand the intuition? Was there a particular sign that you got that you felt like that made me feel safe?
For example, when you walk into the room, you feel something cringe. It means something's off. No matter what other people say, if it's off to you, it's off to you. I think that's intuition. That is part of intuition. Like when you see someone, you feel something because, you can feel the energy.
Back to the part where you moved to Manila and then you started being as an interpreter for 1 year. Actually, let me see, 4 years. Oh, 4 years.
Yeah.
So you were in Manila 5 years in
the same company. In the same company for like interpreting, and then I quit that job and then I found another one as the operation manager. Yeah, in a real estate company.
Was that another decision that you have to make, or it was just trying to explore?
It wasn't really difficult to switch the job in Manila because I already lived there for like 4 years. So it's kind of easy for me to look for another job. But when you say if I move to BKK, that's a big decision. That's huge different because it's country to country.
So why did you choose Bangkok instead of any other country?
Okay, so Bangkok is safe. First of all, it's very safe comparing to Manila. I have a story to share. So when I was in Bali, one of my friends told me that he just got kidnapped a few days ago and then his boss bailed him out. And I'm so glad that, they did not murder him or, something like that. And now he's in Dubai, he's fine. I'm lucky he's fine. And after I got the news, I'm like, yes, I am definitely moving somewhere else. I'm definitely moving out from Manila to somewhere safe. I have been to Bangkok for like a couple of times already. And also I got the long-term visa here. So it's easier for me to move here. So easy.
Just backtracking a little bit for our listeners to also sort of get the story, the full concept of the story, and for myself as well, actually. So so you've been working in Manila for 5 years. What's your current story? Like where's your trajectory right now? What's your plan?
Oh, plan. Gosh, I hate this question. Like every time people ask me like plans, I don't have a plan. I don't. Maybe I follow the flow. Yeah, because, if you plan something and then another thing happened and you need to change the plan. So there's no plan for me. Recently, I just got the yoga 200 YTT certificate so that I can teach yoga. Probably I would try out teaching some small yoga session first to practice a little bit more. And also to, make some friends here in BKK. Yeah, I think that is my first step.
How did you end up into this yoga path?
Another funny story. So my mom visited me last year, December, and then she needs to renew her visa, right? So in Bangkok, you only can renew the visa for like 2 months, and then you need to leave the country and then come back. So I'm like, okay, let's choose a country. Where to go? Why not Bali? My mom never been to Bali. I want to take her to walk around, also to spend Chinese New Year there. Also, I'm like, if I go there, I need to do something. I don't want to waste my time. And I'm like, well, I like yoga. I like doing yoga in Ubud. I love Ubud. Xiaohongshu, they recommend me the House of Om, the school. The name is House of Om, and it has really high rate. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's only for like 20 days. I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna waste my time, and that's why I go.
So you actually went to Bali for this course for 20 days?
Yeah, this course is 20 days, and then I stay with my mom for like 10 days. So it's like 1 month in Bali.
That's why I mentioned that I saw Michelle on a vacation, a very long vacation. I'm like, I want to be there.
I mean, seems like, the places that you choose, like Manila, Bangkok, Bali, they're all like tropical and, sun and beach.
I cannot stand cold. I even sometimes in a aircon room, I cannot stand because it's freezing. Yeah, when I freeze, my fingernail got purple.
You're gonna have to get used to, Bangkok's indoor lifestyle.
Especially 7-Eleven. Gosh, it's freezing.
Another thing that I agree with you. We talk about plan, but you said that you never really go with plan because you're more of going with the flow. And I used to have this conversation with my other friend, which is going with the flow. I am definitely up for like going with the flow, but the thing for me is like some people, they like to use go with the flow as an excuse to not do something. So to me, it's like, yes, go with the flow, but maybe we should know at least like what kind of flow we are going.
Yeah, of course, you have to have a main direction. Like you're not gonna flow everywhere,
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So this is something that I really want to, just mention because I have friends who are just like, yeah, I'll just go with the flow. But at the same time, I try to let them understand that going with the flow is good, it's right, but do you even know what flow you're going with? And please don't use I'll just go with the flow as an excuse to I'll just leave it first. Whenever things come back or whenever I feel right, then I can do it. Yes, that too, but it shouldn't be, like a attitude for us to not be responsible to our own life. Like sometimes, we all say, yeah, whatever happens. I believe that like 100%, but I'm not going to use this as an excuse for me to just leave everything, to the universe and say that, because the universe haven't given me anything, so I'm just gonna be here, not do anything. That's not the case, right? It all comes back to our own action, to our own belief and what we want to do with our own life. Like, for example, you took such a brave action to move out of China, move to Manila, you found a job, and then now you're moving yourself to Bangkok again to like start another chapter of your life, and you're not even 100% sure yet what you're going to like do here exactly. For people who, I believe, I think for Sony, like I think this question could probably be maybe a meaningful question for you to think about, like to share your opinion to, which is, I know that you're such a great planner. You always plan things ahead, right? We actually just mentioned this yesterday. You like to plan things ahead. Amongst our friend group, you would always, like very organized. You will know tomorrow this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna like what time arrive here, do what, and then next you have a really well organized plan. So for you, like if in life you have to make a big changes, but sometimes it's hard for us to really visualize or know exactly what is it, right? Since it's like a life plan. So how would you feel about that? Like if you're having the similar situation, like experiences like Michelle?
I did mention this earlier before. I can only sort of imagine because I've never really been through in that place in my life yet, but that's why I do feel like Michelle is really such a courageous person that she could make strong decisions for herself that she feels safe in. For me, it would take so much to feel, first of all, like that I'm brave enough to do something, and then the second step is to even feel safe to do something. The closest that I can think of in terms of moving and like trying things out would be me going to Shanghai. I might have mentioned this before in our previous episodes. before moving back to Thailand, I used to be in Canada, right? I decided to go to Shanghai for my future. I was like, I'm going to be a creative person there and explore that and all these things. And I was like, okay, gotta do it. And no friends, don't know anybody at all. Gonna start from zero. Super scared. To me, I went there for studying, and the studying for me was supported by my family. I felt very protected by the factors that were playing around me. So it's not fair to use this sort of situation to judge. That's why I feel like I've never been through something like that before. And I certainly feel like if I were, I don't know if I would be as courageous to make such decisions. But speaking of like planning and like life and going with the flow, this sort of like topic, I love planning my life out. I love planning and, having a planner. It's something that was ingrained in me. I used to work as a stage manager, so I plan everything. I plan like other people's schedules for them and even my own schedules. And I try to like coordinate everybody's schedule so that it all works. But, I feel like this is something that needs to really be trained. I don't have, a natural sense of going with the flow. I am actually a person who tries my best to go with the flow, but I need some sort of plan in my life. And this is something that I've trained myself because I get really stressed when things are not according to plan. So let's say we schedule this like session that we're going to interview Michelle, and then like she's 5 minutes late, let's say, or I'm 5 minutes late. And then I'm like, oh gosh, are we going to make it in time? Especially in days where there is a strict schedule, it becomes so much it's become so hard to shift things around. And again, I feel like this goes into the whole concept of what Michelle brought up about intuition and the feeling. Sometimes I feel like I've learned to be not as harsh on myself. And when it comes to intuition, it's like what feels right in the moment. I do that. So no matter how strict the plan is these days, if, let's say, we have a plan and I go into the plan feeling like this is not right, like there's something off, then I change the plan. Like it doesn't have to be strictly the way it is. And I try to train myself this way and be gentle to myself and be nice to myself and not, restrict myself in certain ways. So that's how I sort of go with the flow in my way. So yeah, is there any other way that both of you would go with the flow in your own way? Because I feel like what Sin mentioned is very interesting about how there are certain people who say, oh, I go with the flow. So yeah, you can go with the flow. And some people who go with the flow, when they say that, they're very like reckless in their decisions. Like they don't make any decisions. They don't do anything. And they're like, I'm just going to wait for it to happen. Actually, I have an interesting thought that I believe in, which is the concept of lotteries in Thailand. Thai people are really into the lottery system. So a lot of the people in Thailand that I know, they're very into lotteries, and every month there would be two lots.
I actually bought a few times.
So what I'm trying to get to is like the concept of going with the flow for like Thai people in general is that they would buy a lottery every single month. They would save their part of their salary, sometimes a lot of their salary, to hope that they can get the lottery, like the win big. And what happens with this is that with this sort of like habit that they have of buying lottery, they end up buying lottery so much, and because they don't get it, it's sort of like gambling as well. They have this idea of like going with the flow, like I'm just gonna dream of something, and then let's say I dream of a snake, and snake is the number 8, so it's definitely number 8. So Thai people would like, in general, go to buy lottery, and they're like 8, like which one that has like 8 in it, and then they'll buy it and then hope that it will win. And then when in actuality they're doing that like so proactively, but then when they come to their job, what they're doing, they end up not really doing much. They're like slacking off because they're waiting for the day that they can win the lottery, and then they can rest and they can like retire. And I feel like, to me, that's like my sort of example of what not going in with the flow is, because I come across too many people who do this, and they waste their lives just gambling and going with their flow, and not really like they're so active in in, decoding their dreams, they forget about the current situation. And I feel like, why don't they use that activeness also? Like, it's great to have fun and understand your own dreams and do that. I do that too. But it's also important to do that in your daily life, in your work and in the things that in the people that are around you, and work hard for this. Don't expect things around you to go your way if you're not going to work for it.
Nice share. I like that. Especially the lottery part. Actually, I do believe like if you dream of a snake or whatever number and you buy it, I believe that's a sign. But like if you're looking for the sign, it's not a sign. It should be a sign looking for you,
How I see go with the flow is, in order for a flow to happen, the first flow has to happen first, right? Like if you're getting what I'm saying, right? So how does a flow happen, right? Like if we say like river flowing, where's the beginning source of that river flowing down to somewhere else? Like it has a starting point, and that starting point, how I'm going to use it will be our first action into something. So using the lottery example, they're going with the flow would be, I have a dream that I will win a huge $1 million, and my first act, and then my action would be I'll go buy this lottery, and then they'll go with the flow. Then the flow is following your action, right? So what I'm trying to say is going with the flow. Your flow will only happen when your first action has been taken, and whatever you flow is flowing according to that action that you've made.
Deep.
Yeah, like it's deep, but that's what I'm also trying to explain, which is why I felt like some people, they like to go with the flow as an excuse because they were never able, or they're not willing to take the first step. Without that first step, there's no flow for you to flow according to wherever that direction is. So that's why there will be, you're just flowing everywhere. So because you're flowing everywhere because you never took that one action. If I'm driving, at least I need to be able to know that I'm going straight or left or right. And then you can just go with your flow to wherever your path, the road leads you, right? Like if you don't even, steer your wheel and decide, should I go left or right? Then you will never get anywhere. The flow will just take you everywhere because you're just like a boat floating in the middle of the ocean, right?
Unless you buy auto drive.
Oh, yes. Wait, but auto drive, you still need to tell them, right? Like, where do you want to go, right?
Oh, yeah. Is there any sort of ways that you would, Michelle, that you would share with our listeners, sort of like how they can become more courageous with themselves, sort of like the choices that they make in their lives? Do you have any thoughts on this?
To me, first of all, you need to know what you want. For example, you want to make a living, you want to pay the rent, you want to buy this whatever things, right? You know your direction, like you want to make money, then look for a job or do some business. And if you want it enough, like if you really, really want it, your action will lead you.
I actually agree with that a lot. Like I believe in action more than just words or what I see. Like our behavior is the instant reflection of what we truly want. Yeah, I believe that a lot. Like for example, if for those who are struggling in, relationship, and then they're saying like, that person left me because blah, blah, blah. The fact is, yeah, they've made a choice. Their action is to leave you and just take it. Yeah, and that is what they truly want, regardless of whatever explanation that they give you. They could be telling you, yeah, because my family, blah, 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 or because I'm not good for you. So you're not good for they're not good for you. They can make a change to become good for you, right? But instead, their action tell them to leave you. So what they actually want is, they just don't want this anymore. This is just an example, okay, of While I agree with you a lot, like action is really the reflection of what we truly want. And maybe for us to find courage is also to, what Michelle shared is to truly understand what we want first. But this is also, I believe, another really difficult question for a lot of people. Not many people are able to realize or figure out what do they really want. But I believe also the easiest thing that people would say is, I want to be rich. That's the easiest thing. Yeah, but apart from, just being rich, maybe a tip for like myself is, yeah, I want to be rich too, but what exactly rich is to me? Does rich meaning I want to have a lot of free time to enjoy all the traveling? Does being rich means I am able to afford the life that I want to have? Because rich is just an adjective that describes. If I start to look into what is rich to me, then that will be where I start to find a direction for myself. So, for example, yeah, I want to be rich, and rich to me is I want to be able to afford the kind of lifestyle that I want. For example, I want to retire in, a huge farmhouse, and I have my own farm, having my own life, not worry about not having food to eat. Then this is how I know that, yeah, this is my goal. So what do I do now to achieve this goal, which is to have a farmhouse? Maybe I could, start with doing certain things that could get me a farmhouse, something like this, I would say, because sometimes, the question of how can we get courage? It's and what do we want? Like, what do we exactly want? These are easy questions, but a lot of times, hard to do and hard to understand. So maybe dissect all of these into just small things, and then we can just work on the small things. Because if it's smaller things, the courage that we feel like we might need also feels smaller. So it's easier for us to take that first step.
I have one last question before we wrap up, which is related to the whole thing that we've been talking about. I feel like we've been talking very much so sort of like the front look of this whole concept of like being courageous and like going with the flow. But I want to ask, just to pull us back a little bit more, with the process that you've ever taken in your life since you've stepped out of China, have you ever come across, because being courageous is being courageous, that doesn't mean that no negative forces can affect you. So I don't want listeners to think, listen to this and just be like, being courageous will always just mean positive things will come, because I personally believe that would not be true. And I just want to take a moment to highlight and ask you, throughout the process of, your 5 years and now going into 6 years of like being away from home, China, how has that been?
It definitely involved a lot of emotions, like heartbroken or insecurities, loneliness, away from home. And sometimes, when you're abroad, nobody can help you. It's all on your own. So just be prepared that life will give you some lessons. Just be prepared. And it's so normal because, it happens to everybody. The ups and downs. Of course, it's not always smooth, You'll get to a happy point after you get through all the things.
Is there a particular challenge that you went through that you felt like it was one of big struggle for you after you've left?
I have down times, like those emo times. Yeah. Honestly, I don't have much friends in Manila because, Chinese always scam Chinese. So I don't dare to really make friends with them. Yeah, I don't have friends sometimes. I feel alone.
Thank God you're one of the friends that you have was bailed from the kidnap. You know, like what's up with that, Manila? Like what's up with the kidnapping?
I'm glad he's fine, you know. Well, you know, always Chinese kidnap Chinese. I don't know if I can say this, but like there's a lot of companies there are, how do you say it? 灰色产业. Like gray industry.
And your friend's safe now in Dubai?
Yeah, he was like, no, never go back to Manila.
He also escaped. He was like, nope, not Manila anymore.
Yeah, it's like Manila's so different than 5 years ago.
Well, I guess no matter where in the world we go, there will definitely be, you know, the good side and the bad side. To me, there's nowhere really safe, and there's also nowhere truly danger. Wherever we go, have those courage. If we really want to, you know, take the first brave step, definitely listen to our own intuition or gut feelings, right? But at the same time, let it sit a while as well. Like, don't let your, you know, courage or intuition become a reckless decision as well. Whenever, if you believe that you've received certain sign or you realize that this is really what you want and you are already feeling that courage to step out of the comfort zone, do it, but do it with intelligence. For example, just like what Michelle did, she did a whole lot of research before actually moving to Manila. And that is the homework that we all should do. Like once we get, you know, a sign from the universe, if you believe that, then take it. But at the same time, also do all the homework and preparation that we as humans have to do. Because again, you know, we're not again, we're just normal human beings trying to enjoy our life on this planet. And there will definitely be pros and cons, good and bad, no matter wherever we go. And every decision that we make, there will also be positive and negative things happening. But as long as we did enough homework to prepare ourselves, we can potentially lower the negative parts that we might be able to face in the future. Yeah, so thank you again, Michelle, for sharing your personal story with us. It's, again, to me, really nice to hear, you know, especially women who have such huge courage to change her life completely. To me, it's completely, and you did it all alone.
You're a butterfly.
Oh, thank you. You're ready to transform. Thanks for spending your time with us today. We hope you enjoy our conversation and got some inspiration to be brave too. Be sure to also follow us on Instagram and subscribe to us for some more interesting events in Bangkok. Last but not least, are you ready for some woo-woo magic? Stay tuned to our next episode with our special friend.